Good evening, everyone. It is December 17th, 6 p.m. This is the last Sedro-Woolley Council meeting of the year. And so we have some new people that we're going to be, well, not necessarily new, but we're going to be doing some swearing in, and we're going to be also saying goodbye to somebody very special. So why don't you all stand with me to say the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. I'm going to do roll call, and if it's okay with you, I'm going to acknowledge that you are all here. And I want to say that it's exciting to have Councilman Loy back. Kevin, it is really good to see you. I know it's been a hellacious month, this past month. I'd rather be here than there, I know. So good to see you. So if everybody's okay with that, I'll just acknowledge that the whole council is present. I am looking for an approval of the agenda.
Madam Mayor, I'll make approval of the agenda.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, I'll second.
Thank you. So we have a motion by Councilman LaVaca, second by Councilwoman Diamond. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, we're going to do the consent agenda. I'm going to call for a motion here in just a minute. First, we are going to add, you can see on your on the dais in front of you, we're adding late materials. That's just business reappointing of the planning commissioners, Joe Fatizzi and Patrick Huggins, which would be under the consent agenda. Also, for item 7, as I call for an approval of the agenda, item 7. Councilwoman Kesty, did you want to recuse yourself? You talked with me about that.
Yes, I'd like to recuse myself from the consent agenda item 7.
Right, so as she approves, as she says approval of all of them, not unless something is pulled, but she gets approval of all of them, she's recusing herself from item 7.
Correct.
So, okay, so I am calling for a motion.
Mayor, can I interject? I'm so sorry.
Yep,
But
go
we
ahead.
can't actually take action on things not on the published agenda for a special meeting.
This was late materials put in front of me.
It was added as late materials to the,
Was it
What
24
website?
hours in advance published?
yes.
Okay. So sorry to interrupt.
No, we like that you keep us on track. Thank you, Nikki. I'm looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda, adding the late materials of the appointment of the planning commissioners.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
Second.
Okay, thank you. So we have a motion by Councilman Henderson, second by Councilman LaVaca. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, moving on to item G, City Administrator Report. We're talking about City Council goal setting for 27-28.
Yes.
Charlie?
Thank you, Mayor Johnson, City Council. Good evening. So this item is a result of some conversations in the last couple of meetings we've had at the Strategic Planning Committee of the City Council. We've been talking about council goal setting. We do council goal setting typically as a new council is seated. We will do that goal setting in the first few months of that first year, with the goal then of having those new council goals be worked into the next biennial budget. And so in this case, the beginning of 2026, we would typically set goals to then have those goals reflected in the 27-28 budget, and we would do that work and have the funds allocated at that time. So what we've laid out here is a goal-setting process that we are proposing to council. We'd like to get your feedback on it, and if there are any concerns or issues, hear those tonight. But essentially what we would do is develop a template for council members to submit goals. And that would allow us to have kind of a formatted, more structured process. Staff would respond to those goals. There's some deadlines included here in the packet. But we would essentially be shooting for a January 28th meeting to review all those goals and staff comments on those goals as well. Staff comments are going to be more analytical, just simply these are some projects we think might align with this goal, or this is a timeline we think we can do it within, that kind of thing. All of that comes back to council January 28th. January 28th then is an opportunity for the council to kind of prioritize those goals, decide which ones look the best to council, And if we need more meetings to work through that process, we could do that, but it should be a good starting point to help us get organized for ultimately adopting new goals or keeping the same goals, whatever the council determines to do. So that's a process that we're working on. I'm a little bit delayed in getting the goal template out. That's one of my things I'm trying to do before the holidays. It's probably gonna be during the holidays, but
We had a little thing called a flood.
it really set us all back about a week and a half, but plan to get that out during the holidays if council's interested in this process. We would also highlight it at the January 7th study session. Those goals would need to be submitted by January 14th, and then we'd have a couple of weeks to turn those around to have them ready for January 28th for council to work through a special study session that we're proposing for 4 to 6 p.m., so a couple hours, really working through and prioritizing those submitted goals from the council. And then going from there. So that's the process that we've worked out at the Strategic Planning Committee. But that's 3 council members, so certainly wanted to hear from anybody else if there are strong thoughts or opinions on this process.
Okay. Councilman Lavaca, do you have a?
Yeah,
Comment?
and thanks for the response earlier, Charlie. I really appreciate that. I have, if we can't fit it in there at some point, more of a strategic workshop meeting, kind of like we did 4 years ago. I think at that point, we'd have about 3 of the original council members that were at that meeting here, and the rest of the council would be pretty much new to kind of get the feel. I think there's value added in that because the city, the executive branch gets a chance to really have kind of a deeper discussion. I think in that first one, we started off going through all the departments on their needs, but I'm looking at maybe just a discussion of the goals, the strategic goals, those kind of topics, the housing, the parks and rec, things like that. So if that's possible, Madam Mayor, if we can do something like that for even a few hours at the library and just maybe have a roundtable discussion on that.
Yeah, we hadn't determined actually where we were going to hold it, but we have set aside the 28th, which is the last Wednesday of the month, and I think we have 2 hours set aside for that where we can actually sit down and have those discussions. And I think that's where it's really important to be able to really focus on those things that are important with what Charlie is proposing, which is submit kind of your wish list, what it is you want to see discussed. I think it's a great idea. It was something that Charlie's brought up, and I back it. I think it's really a great way to do it.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. No, that sounds totally fine. I think if there is more time needed, I know that we had in that original one and one since then.
Yeah.
We've always kind of talked about Parks and Rec being at the top. We've never really adjusted the website too much, or there were some flyers that got out, but we really didn't do much, even though it was the top topic. So just kind of like having that good discussion to find out if it is the topic. But if there's enough time within 2 hours, that's great.
And along those lines, because it sounds like this is something that's important to you, we know it is, but if you could even be specific about bullet points, I'd like to see this, I want to talk about this, I want to propose this, or whatever works for you, that would be great.
Yeah, it's similar to what I was doing as the chair of the Parks and Rec. My liaison, of course, at the time wasn't conveying that. We didn't keep minutes or stuff. But yeah, very similar to what I've also brought to the workshops in the
Good
past.
deal. Thank you, Nick.
Thank you.
Yes.
I just want to say thank you very much, because when we talked about this in the committee meeting, it was exciting that we could actually all come together, have a list of things that you want, like prioritize them, and then really bust them out. So thank you. I'm excited about it.
Anything else, Charlie, you want to add?
No, nothing
Okay.
else this evening.
All right, we'll just go on down the list here. Councilmember Lloyd, do you have a report? Other than it's just really darn good to be back.
Well, that's just it. I don't have a report. I've been incognito for a few weeks.
Okay.
I'll report twice as much next time.
Well, I got to tell you, it is really great to have you back. Councilwoman Kesty.
Thank you. Get set up here. Tonight, I want to take a moment to recognize Councilmember Diamond and let her know how truly special it has been to serve alongside her. Working with you has been incredibly rewarding, not only for the city of Sedro-Woolley and its constituents, but for me personally as well. I've known you for over 25 years, and you and your family have a long and meaningful history in this community. That legacy of giving back is evident in the care, thoughtfulness, and integrity you bring to everything you do. They say when one door closes, another opens, and I'm genuinely excited to see what lies ahead for you and how your passion for service will continue to benefit our community and the county in thoughtful and meaningful ways. Please accept these flowers as a small token of appreciation from some of the current council members and former council members. Glenn and Chuck. They are offered in thanks for your smart decision-making, for your love of our city, and most importantly, for your friendship.
Councilwoman Diamond?
Thank you, Joanne. Excuse me, that was very sweet. I really don't feel that there's thanks to be needed, in the sense that I can honestly say that sitting in this seat, I have never, ever made a decision based on political gain for a political party. I've never been endorsed by a specific political party, nor have ever accepted any funding from a political party, and have made decisions in regards to Sedro-Woolley simply based on what is best for the city as a whole and as its community members, and looking at the directions, the actions, the reactions, and the effects that it can have down the road. And so I just want to say thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate all of the members of the staff that I've had an opportunity to work for, the council members as well, and the community members that I've been able to represent and be a voice for. So I greatly appreciate that. I also want to say thank you to all of the members of our community that have stood strong together and taken care of and come together for all of the people that have been greatly affected by the flooding. There were some wonderful, wonderful local businesses and individuals that came together, worked hard, and are still out there working right now as people are putting back together some of their lives. So I just want to say thank you for all of those hardworking people, boots on the ground, that are out there doing the hard things. I had the opportunity to go back and do perimeter checks on some of the dikes in our county, to work through and see the National Guard work firsthand, as well as the Army Corps of Engineers. And so all of these people that have come into our community and worked really hard, I greatly appreciate you for coming out and doing that to support. I'd also like to say thank you as well to the crew that got to put together and put up the Christmas tree. I've had so many different people reach out to me as well in the midst of all of that and let us know how important it is to be going through town in hard times and to be able to look up and have a sense of peace and hope. And so I just wanted to pass that along. That's an incredibly special thing to provide people. On another note, just briefly, because it is my job, I do need to pass along a couple complaints I received. One of them being that I did get a couple complaints that City Hall was closed when it was not located in the 100-year floodplain. That is simply being passed along. A couple of the individuals believe that it actually caused some confusion because people weren't evacuating their homes, but then businesses were open and were closed at the same time. In the 100-year floodplain, everybody makes the decisions based on the information that they have at hand. But they felt that being that the city is run on taxpayers' dollars and the taxpayers are in a crisis, that City Hall should have been open, and if there are individuals that could not come to work, that would be worked out, passing that along. Also received additional complaints about the phone tree, simply because in the midst of a crisis, it's also very difficult to get a hold of people and talk to somebody quickly in the midst of that. So again, passing that along. But I know the phone tree is something that's been discussed and brought up over the last several years. And then on a lighter note, I wanted to let everybody know that Sedro-Woolley Little League will be starting signups in January. So check your emails, Facebook, social media. If you have any boys or girls interested in signing up for Little League, that will still be happening. I know that there's some cleanup to be done at Riverfront Park and all of that to make that happen, but they do still plan on coming together and getting all the kids signed up, and it is rumored that there will be a state tournament here, hopefully. So something to be on the lookout. Fun for a great opportunity to bring together the community, support our kids, and work together. So thank you.
Okay. Councilman Henderson?
Thank you. First, I'd like to offer words of encouragement and support to go out to our neighbors in Concrete, Lyman, Hamilton, Burlington, and the surrounding Skagit area for the damages that they sustained during last week's flood. It all started kind of on Wednesday night with a lot of confusion with the evacuation notice. I don't know who sent that out or where it came from. What, I've heard it was
County EOC.
county, I
Yeah,
heard it was
county.
state, took over. But telling everybody in both towns that they all need to evacuate was nothing short of a dumpster fire. It was confusing, it was an early call, and it was largely unnecessary. But I know that we certainly learned a lot of lessons from this entire thing. Better info on what like some of the terminology means. A lot of people are seeing posts on Facebook, and a lot of people who are new to our area have no idea what a 100-year floodplain is, and so that caused a lot of confusion. And then better info on the locations we needed to evac. Kudos to you guys for actually putting that post out with the red line saying anywhere downtown of that, get out, otherwise you're fine. That was great. It saved a lot of phone calls. Next time, hopefully there's not, it'd be nice to see frequent info following up on road closures and what roadways are open. A unified regional message as well as detailed localized info. There's a lot of information going around. I'm sure we're gonna have a after-action review on that and kind of iron a lot of those things out. On Monday, there was a town hall meeting in Burlington, where a lot of people got to come in and voice their concerns and complaints, and it might be a good idea if we maybe thought about doing one too. I mean, not right now, but soon, so we can hear a lot of the issues and complaints and the confusion that came from the people in Sedro-Woolley, so we know how to better handle that. Definitely kudos to our first responders and public works as the boots on the ground, and a special thanks to the National Guard for coming out and showing up. A lot of those guys were from Monroe, and they were up here working while their own houses were getting flooded. So, moving on to Mr. Bullock, I was going to ask you if the light at Highway 9 South and 20, where our railroad crossing is completely blocked off, if we could ask DOT to green light that eastbound and westbound and not have people arbitrarily stopping at a red light that doesn't need to be red. I've had a lot of people asking about that on their commutes.
I'll contact SoRush. He programs all that stuff.
Fantastic, thank you. And last but not least, I'd like to give thanks to Councilwoman Sarah Diamond for all of her years of tireless service to our city. You're a true example of leadership and representation to the citizens. It has been a pleasure to work with you, and your experience and wisdom will truly be missed on this council.
Thank you. Councilman Cock?
Yes, I'd like to echo that for Councilwoman Diamond. You have tremendous dedication to this council and to the community. As someone who was a volunteer basketball coach for 10 years in this community, I know how challenging that can be, but also how rewarding when you make a difference. So thank you very much. I first want to thank the mayor and the members of our directors and our first responders for responding to this flood. I think it will teach us a lot of lessons in the after action about some of the top priorities. For me, one of them is the wastewater treatment plant, which I think we have to secure adequate funding to protect it from flooding, because this won't be the last one. I do want to mention that I was just, it was so wonderful to see how our community responded. We had friends staying with us from Lyman. They were flooded out. That happened all over, not only Sedro-Woolley, but the entire Skagit County. People reached out to their neighbors and friends and helped. That's why this is such a special place. I just have a couple other things. I want to echo about one thing about the flood. I do want to send kudos Bill Bullock's way, because I believe he worked on the flood wall in Mount Vernon, which held. So that's fantastic. as a I understand the flood for just a minute. As a communications professional for many years, they really do need to fix the communications. There was a story in the Seattle Times the other day that the flood maps in Skagit County are 40 years old. So that's, you know, and also it's clear to me in Burlington, there was places, I don't know when this happened, where houses were built that should not have been allowed to be built. They were clearly and you know, floods are unpredictable. You don't know where they're going to go or how bad they were going to be. But I think there needs to be, we should also be doing, you know, I think we are, an after action to look, how can we do better? How can, I mean, the map that we put out, I think cleared it up for everybody, because I'm not great on computers, but I went to that county map, I couldn't figure it out. It was impossible. I mean, I was going down rabbit holes. So kudos to the first responders, the National Guard, the state coming in and helping us the way they did. So I thought there was a lot of really good work, but a lot of lessons we can learn and build on. Just a couple of things. I attended the parade. Again, kudos to staff on that. It was really well attended. Thanks to city employees and the Chamber of Commerce. Recently, because we rescheduled because of the flood, I attended the North Star Steering Committee. A lot of information. I learned that North Star has 3 task forces who share information. A co-responder task force, I think Chief Wagner's on that. A housing task force with Nicole on it, and a recovery task force. So they're going to start sharing more and more information and developing lessons learned and data. So I thought it was very interesting. And that's it for me.
Thank you. Councilman Burns.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First, I really want to thank the city staff for your response to the flood. You did a spectacular job. I got to come by City Hall and see how you were operating, and I was really impressed by how organized you were. I appreciate Ruth Richards from the school district coming in and helping with that map. That was very easy for people to read. We had a lot of confusion when the county sent out that evacuation order that was not necessary, or at least not for everybody who received it. So that map really made it very simple for people, and I deeply appreciate your hard work. I know, Charlie, you pulled some long hours, and many other staff did as well, so thank you for that. I'm grateful to the search and rescue, our first responders, and the National Guard for coming out as well. I saw a call go out for Family Promise online and told my wife we should take a bag of food down to the church and donate. And I was astounded when I got there. The hallway was literally overflowing with stuff, and the one volunteer there looked overwhelmed. So I ended up staying for a few hours with her and was deeply impressed to see our community come out for people and how much they were donating. Yeah. There was no grocery store you could easily get to around here at that point, and people were just reaching into their pantries and trying to help one another. So I really loved seeing that. The Christmas parade was fantastic. Kudos to Monique and the Chamber. I really appreciate them and the city staff pulling long hours. Got to talk to Nathaniel out there as he was getting the tree set, and thanked him for being out there. I know that's one of his favorite things to do, though. The Christmas tree is fantastic. My son Eli absolutely loves it. When we drive through town, he's always, "Where's the Christmas tree? Where's the tree?" He knows what part of town it is now, and he wants me to go drive down Metcalf and go around it so he can see it again. I did have one concern from a constituent about Trail and Cook Road, the traffic on it. They also mentioned a section of Trail Road north of that where people are parking on the road where they're not supposed to be parking, putting garbage cans out there, and it makes it so that you can't even make it around them. 2 cars can't pass each other, so that was a concern of theirs. And that's all I've got tonight. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Councilman LaVaca.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, the parade was really awesome, and it was good to be down there with everybody. One of our favorite things is to walk down the street because no cars are going back and forth. So I wanted to say thank you to all the city Public Works guys that did that, the police force that did that, and the fire department. We have a lot of city vehicles that participate, which helps make it a lot bigger and funner. So that was a lot of fun too, along with the kids. We're gonna do the 4th of July this year, of course. So I'm gonna throw out a plug because it's the 250th anniversary of America. So hopefully we can make that a very big, awesome parade. This parade was a little bit smaller than they normally are for Christmas, so hopefully we can make that one a hoorah, Sedro-Woolley. The flooding was very serious, and I did get a lot of calls and a lot of feedback on communication. I think the map was awesome. I saw that it was being used in areas of the state. They were definitely doing, the county adopted it with theirs, other places, so kudos on that. Kudos on responding and getting people, getting a team together and really trying to manage that with what you guys had. So that was really awesome, and working with FEMA and first responders, the National Guard. It seemed like the evacuation order did go out pretty quickly, and then people didn't know whether they can come back or whether it was a real evacuation order now, because it was evacuation for 2 days, and they didn't know whether they this was it. You know, we have dry weather, there's not water in the fields. By the time that things really started to get hectic, you couldn't go up another level. And so that was a big challenge. Almost waiting for another time. I know that's all in the after hour or after hours discussion to go through and just talk about all that. I do want to give kudos to, or thank you to, Sarah Diamond for all the work and wisdom you've brought forth to the council. It's always difficult to see the council change in certain ways. I remember the first one I had with Glenn Allen and Chuck Owens and Brendan McLaughlin, and that was a lot of fun. We had a really strong council, and then this council, and then we'll have hopefully a really good another council. I'm sure we will. It'd be awesome. So we have a great city, and we have a great staff, and we have a great council. So I'm looking forward to the next 4 years. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Nick. I love that you all are mentioning the community. I, too, want to reach out and call out Monique Brigham in the chamber. The parade was absolutely wonderful, and especially the volunteers who made that happen. They were the ones who came in. They helped Nate put up the tree. They helped put up the different lights around the city. They were monitoring the streets as the parade was going on, doing crowd control, setting the parade up, getting it going. That doesn't happen just on its own. It takes a lot of people to make it happen, and it just goes to show the volunteers that we have within this community is fantastic. I do want, before I give a report, I'm going to give a report here on, I have a flood statement, and there's people I want to thank. Bill, I want to ask about Highway 9 and 20, the BNSF crossing. Have you heard any word on that? Because I still am getting a lot of calls on that. People are frustrated. It's been a while.
Understood. No, I haven't heard back from BNSF on an update since about a week after it happened, so.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. End of the year, so I know that we had council members who served on different things. Paul, I want to thank you for sitting on the AWC committee board. Really appreciate you doing that. Also sitting on the North Star Advisory Committee and now the steering committee. Thank you very much for doing that. Joe, you were on the Skagit Transit. That was really great. And I want to thank all the council members who actually sat on the interview boards, and even when we were putting together the comp plan, there was, I know Sarah, you were one of them who sat on the committee when we were picking out which company we were going to work with. Bassett is who we ended up going with. And while I've mentioned you, Sarah, I just want to say that it's really been a pleasure having you on the council. You did bring a lot of wisdom. You were very thoughtful in everything that you said, very thoughtful in what you said. And you actually, I think, swayed votes by your, not only just by your passion, but by your intellect and your reasoning. You have a very astute mind. It's wonderful, and it's been wonderful having that as part of the council. I also love all the community work that you do, the way that you've worked on different activities, the sports activities. When we had tournaments here, you know, you're the leader. You're the one in the community who does that, and I want to thank you for that. That's great service. Yeah, so Sarah, you've really been great to work with, and thank you so much for giving of your time. Thank you. So along with the Sedro-Woolley flood statement, so, oh my gosh. So I want to extend a lot of compassion on behalf of the city of those who were greatly impacted. There was those who had their homes that were flooded, homes that were damaged. There were trees that went down. We have even within our own staff, somebody who was greatly impacted and will continue to be impacted by the flood. Even though this flood, according to Nate Salsina, didn't do quite as much damage as the one in 21, it still had its impact on the community, and it still is going to leave an impression on all of us throughout our lives, and we will recall it. At the city of Sedro-Woolley, we did fare pretty well. We did have those people who needed to go home and take care of their loved ones. We had several who were working in the EOC. We were also given the information that we were probably going to have anywhere from 48 to 50 feet of water above flood stage, which was part of the reason why we did close City Hall. We didn't know what was coming, and safety is the name of the game. It is safety for everybody, not just for the community, but for the people who work here at City Hall. And so that was the reason for closing City Hall, and I would do it again. I'd make that call again. The river forecast, it was dire, as I said, it was 40 to 50 feet possibly above. Thank goodness it didn't transpire that way. We activated the Emergency Operations Center, the EOC, at a level 2 virtual on Monday, 12/8, but by 12/10, we were fully activated. The flood was similar to 2021, and we did suffer damage again at Riverfront Park and the Fire Training Center. And we'll have more information on that coming days after our full damage assessment is done. We're starting to move into that now. To our knowledge, the damage to residences and businesses in the city was minimal, but we'll know more after we do the assessment. There was a lot of effort that went into mitigating the impacts of the flood. FEMA reimbursements will be available as this is a presidentially declared disaster. We used a comprehensive emergency management plan to guide our response to this event. And I want to call out Charlie here, because we have several people here who are very seasoned in this, and we have those who have never done this before. But Charlie headed up the EOC, he ran it, and along with our employees. I had the opportunity to be in there a good portion of the time, and I have to say, Charlie, you really took us up a notch. You really, you helped dial us in, and yes, we may have more to learn, but we learned a lot from this, and that EOC was ran great. It was ran efficiently and smooth, and we had information and put out information before the county did, and that was to the crew. That's because of the crew that we were working with. So leadership all made that happen. So I want to call out that. Our EOC went from a level 1 in person to on Wednesday, 12/10. We returned to level 2 on Friday, which was 12/12. We concluded our operations today on Wednesday, 12/10. There were several levels of staff, partners, and volunteers involved in the EOC operation to support our departments, businesses, community, and the region. We were active 24 hours a day on Thursday and Friday of last week. We're all still feeling the impact of that, feeling sleep deprived. We are entering the assessment and the recovery stage now, and we have wrapped up the EOC operations earlier today. We will have a presentation for you in January, recapping our actions, most likely on the 14th. That's what we're shooting for, depending upon what we find. Areas where we can improve, the importance of the investment, and how to make us a more resilient community are the next steps. One of the things that I did provide today was I put out a request in the Skagit Council of Governments Transportation meeting that we look at something like perhaps a roundabout at Collins and Cook. I know you're thinking, oh my God, another roundabout. But what we discovered was that people who were not able to go up 20 because it was closed at one point came down Collins. And so now you had 20, 30, 40 people who were lined up trying to get on Cook Road. And we all know how crazy that traffic was, even more so because nobody could take 20. So, so making us really more resilient and making it more sufficient and safe. I did ask WSDOT to look at doing something, even if it's a light or if it's a roundabout, so that even when we have accidents where people are diverted to Collins Road, we won't have incidences where people were actually, there were some real heinous situations that I saw. People did some really heinous things trying to get out into the highway. It was frustrating. People were frustrated. Who wouldn't be? But for safety's sake and also for the resilience of this community so that we could move more smoothly out of this area if we needed to up-cook, I've made that request. We are entering the assessment and recovery. I think I've already said that. We are now also asking you to ratify my declaration of civil emergency in January. And we plan to ask you to end the emergency at that time, and that will probably be also at the January 14th, again, after we make the assessment. There are people that I want to thank. These are just a few. These are the ones that we worked mostly with, but I know that there are more who are out there. Family Promise, who put together the shelter. They gave reports on a daily basis to us so we knew what was happening. Ken and Donna, who are, they are our caretakers at Memorial Park. At one point, we moved the 51 residents from Birchview to the community center for safety's sake because of flooding. And both Donna and Ken, who live right next door there, they supplied some special needs for that, for the community center. And I just want to thank them. They weren't asked to do that, and they did it anyway. The Sedro-Woolley School District assisted in that evacuation. We want to thank them. We have met with them. Ruth Richardson, who did the communications, as well as our own Nicole McGowan, did a great job. Skagit Transit, because they actually assisted with their paratransit to help move people who had wheelchairs out of harm's way to places where they could be safe, the evacuation. And Carrie Carlton, believe it or not, who was there driving truck, moving equipment, and helping move those patients, a remarkable woman. Eric Larson from Helping Hands Food Bank, he was a liaison within our EOC, did a great job. Again, Charlie Bush, who really did an amazing job. Very grateful that you're here. Great leader, Charlie. Bill Bullock, who acted as director, or assistant director. David Davidson, Nathan Salsina, and the Public Works Street and Park. Incredible people. Couldn't ask for better people on our staff. Lowell Osmus, Nicole Fluger, Julie Rosario, Peter Lane, Kyle Anderson, Ashton, Tom Glover, Nicole McGowan, Woody Tover, Thomas Saint, Chief McElroy, Sergeant Sorsdahl, Sedro-Woolley Police Department staff, including Ariel Wiesen, Joanna Irby, Rebecca Winship, Chief Wagner, the assistant chiefs, Glenn Gardner and Jerry Gardner, and our HR person, Brandy Jensen. They all of us were in the EOC, all working, all taking the information and putting it out there to help keep people safe and to know what to anticipate. And also to those who reached out. So we had Paul Woodmancy who reached out. He said he and his crew would be available to do anything they wanted to do. Kevin Wynn also said he would come in and help if needed with the treatment plant. There were those amazing people who volunteered to fill sandbags. They were there on I don't know, maybe 24/7. They were there, and I don't know how many sandbags they filled. It had to have been hundreds if not thousands. Do you know?
About 3,500 sandbags.
There you go. It was amazing, just amazing people. And they looked like they were having a good time. Whenever I was down there, it looked like they were having a good time. I also want to thank Sarah Diamond, who actually helped with the evacuations, Joe, who helped with Family Promise, and Alan, who was really in the thick of it at the city of Burlington. You know, and Paul, did you have opportunity? I don't know that I forgot to ask you. I know, Nick, you were helping up at Hamilton with some of the stuff. So, Joellen, did you? So, I mean, just a remarkable community. And is that? And Troy Hansen, yes, thank you. Troy Hansen as well, yep. So, I mean, I can't name everybody, but I just want to say that when you hear that list, you know, I think, did I mention the Chamber of Commerce? I did not. The Chamber of Commerce was another one. She was there, and she was also great. Monique was putting out information. When you hear that list, this is just a fraction of the people who were engaged in helping this community. And I think that speaks to who we are. And it's humbling to know that we actually live here. And it's also a blessing to know that we can rely on our neighbor when things are at its absolute worst. So I really I'm at a loss for words how to say thank you, say thank you adequately to all these people who gave of their time, of their intelligence, of their humor. There was a lot of humor, of their, intellect, just being there so that we could survive a natural disaster. And thank God it was not as they had predicted it to be. So with that, and I want to thank the council here for sharing their insight and their perspective too. I think it's just, it's humbling. So thank you. With that, we're going to move into, if I've got this right, we're going to move into public comment. So please keep your comments to 3 minutes or less, and try to be respectful. We do ask that you maybe identify how it is that you are associated with the city. So at 6:40, I'll open up public comment. Is there anybody who'd like to make public comment? Okay.
Philip Murray. The deal with the flood, there is so much room for improvement. I mean, it's unbelievable. When you're trying to find out information, you have to be logged into an account to get to anything with the city or anything. I looked at the county stuff. There were so many misleading heights of the elevations of what the flood's going to be, 37, 42, 46, 49. I'm figuring if it's up there around 49, we're going to be dealing with 3 to 4 feet of water here in Sedro-Woolley, and that's going to vary a lot depending on where you are. Mm-hmm. And you advertised that there was going to be sandbags down there by the city shop. So I thought, well, I better check this out because I think I might have to build a 3-foot wall between old timers and another building for my kids' property. You save 3 businesses that way, and then some in the front. And I have a trailer, so I wanted to check out the sandbag area, see if you can get to it. Well, there's 2 piles of sand. One is almost gone. There's 5 trucks around it. The other one's got a quarter, and there's 5 trucks around it. You couldn't get anybody else in there if you needed to. These people got to finish doing what they're doing, move out, somebody else come in. And so I came down to the city here, to the planning department there and stuff, and I said, you know, you need more sand. You're going to be out. And they said, well, that's all we're going to do. I said, well, you advertised that you have sandbags and sand down here, and if you don't have that, and I don't have access to it, you will be talking to my attorney if I get flooded. My son gets flooded down there. And the truck started coming in. They got sand there. And I also told them that you are in the lowest part of Sedro-Woolley. This is ridiculous. Well, later on, I went down there. They're standing in water, trying to do sandbags. I said, you need to move it up to State Street in a big parking lot. You have access to everything. Deaf ears. So I go down there at 11 o'clock at night. There's still people getting sandbags. I see the water is going down. And there's no lights. They're working in pitch black darkness there. It's like, really? You got to be set up better than this. This is an emergency. We're all told to evacuate, which was ridiculous because I went and looked at the river. It's 8 feet down. And got 4 of those on my phone. Evacuate Sedro-Woolley. What? So anyway, the water, what flooding you did have down there was coming out of the storm drains. You don't have a backflow valve or a tide gate or anything on the pipe. It's backing up and coming out the grates everywhere. So now you're using all the sandbags to plug all these grates everywhere around town. And you must have broken pipes because it's coming out of the cracks in the pavement and out of people's next to the roads, out of the bubbling out of the ground. You got cracked pipes out there too. But you need tide gates on the outlets, these pipes. Stops it from backing up into the city. And that caused the flooding down there. It wasn't coming in from the river, it was coming in from all the storm grates. There's a place called Golden Harvest up there at the airport. They make those. They ship them all over the world. You know, it's readily available right here in your backyard. And things need to be changed a little bit and better information and where you don't have to log in to get the information, making an account, it's like ridiculous. Facebook, it's like, no, you shouldn't have to be on Facebook to get anything from the city. I don't want to be on Facebook. Then you start getting all this garbage. So that stuff needs to be fixed. Thank you.
Thank you, Phil. Is there anybody else? Okay. It is 6:44. I am going to close public comment, and we are going to move right into a public hearing. This is regarding ordinance 211025. It's a 2025 budget amendment number 4. And this is Kelly who's going to be leading us through this. And the way the public hearings work, Kelly will go through, she'll talk about the amendment. I then will open it up for public comment to address anything that has to do with the budget. After public comment has finished, I will open it up to the council, and they then can ask questions and or make comments. So, Kelly, are you looking for a motion tonight? You are you not?
Yes.
Okay, so council, keep that in mind. All right, thank you, Kelly.
This is the final budget amendment for 2025. There's only 4 items that have changed since the previous amendment. The first one is regarding the library fund. We have an interlocal agreement with the library for payment, and it's based on the library levy rate and the city assessed value, as well as taking out the loan payment that the city pays on behalf of the library. So making a change due to that interlocal agreement. We also had some additional expenditures in the code enforcement fund due to a property cleanup, and some additional expenditures in the stormwater operations fund due to the stormwater management plan. And then in the ER&R fund, we had an oversight in the original budget. We didn't include the purchase of the 3 police vehicles we purchase every year to keep our fleet sustainable and continuing to work. So just adding that into the ER&R fund. We've had it planned, but somehow that got overlooked. Similar to other amendments, we've included the ordinance with the budgeted revenues and expenditure document. We've also included some alternate views of the budget, which include the estimated beginning cash, budgeted revenues and expenditures, and projected ending cash, if there's any interest in that, as well as another summary of the specific items that were changed in the budget.
Thank you. So I'm going to open it up for public comment. Is there anyone who would like to make public comment regarding ordinance 211025, the budget amendment number 4? Okay. Hearing none, we will move, I'll close public hearing and we'll move to, or not, I won't close public hearing, but I will now move to the council. Any comments or questions? Councilman Koch?
So just so I'm clear on the library portion, since I'm relatively new, are we more or less just a pass-through on that of the taxes?
That's correct.
Okay, all right, that explains that to me. That's it, thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else?
Yes, Madam Mayor.
Okay, Councilman Henderson?
2 questions. Is this code enforcement, additional funds, was that from the house out on 11th Street?
I believe so.
And are we going to be taking any legal action to recoup those funds to the taxpayers?
Yes.
Okay, and second question is the ER&R fund for the police cruisers. That's coming out of normal contributions to their ER&R fund. It just wasn't added to the 2025 budget originally.
Yes, we had planned to do it all along and have it in our ER&R tracking, but somehow missed it in our budget system.
And that fund is sustainable moving forward at
Correct.
3 per year?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Councilman Lavaca?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. For the fund revenues and expenditures, it would be the stormwater 531. We had budgeted 7,500, but then we had the stormwater management plan update. And so it went up, we ended up having to increase that $77,000. Was that not planned earlier in the year? Didn't we know that the stormwater management plan would be updated?
We did, and I believe council approved that item, but it didn't previously get updated in the budget.
Okay, so that's why it's here, because we had the consultant come in, had the discussion, we even asked how much it was, and so I just assumed all that was already budgeted, and that's how she knew how much she was getting.
It wasn't previously in that line item of the budget.
Okay. Do we, just real quick, on those consultants, don't we normally know at least a general budgeted item in there of how much it's gonna go up, and then it might go up 10, 20%, but 77,000% is like pretty high, or not 77,000%, but quite a bit of percent. At least, yeah, 1,000%, over 1,000%.
Yeah, we have, hundreds or thousands of maybe not thousands, hundreds of line items of budget. So sometimes things just get missed. We talk about it and then it just gets missed from the budget. But we do a final review of the budget to actuals before the end of the year, and that's how that item was identified.
Okay, so that in the ER&R fund for the police vehicles, those items, and maybe some others, they were just kind of missed throughout the year, and then at the end, you do the comparison and say, oh, where did these go?
Right.
Okay. All right. One other question, how many police vehicles do we have? Isn't it like 16?
More than that, we have 20 officers and then code enforcement truck, but yeah, we have more, and we have reserves for that and such. So
Just for public information, or just knowledge, I guess, police vehicles should be replaced every 4 to 6 years, depending on usage. So it goes right along the line of why we would spend that much on vehicles, of course. Thank you.
Okay. So if there are no more comments, we're looking for a motion.
Madam Mayor?
Well, actually, do I need to close public hearing before I call for the motion? I think I do, don't I?
I believe
Yes,
so.
ma'am.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay, good deal. So right now I'm gonna close public hearing, and with that, I'm going to call for a motion, and I believe I heard somebody start that.
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 2110-25, 2025 budget amendment number 4.
I'll second that motion.
All right, thank you. So I have a motion by Councilman Burns, a second by Councilman Henderson. Any more discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries, thank you. And under unfinished business, we have ordinance 208325, and this is amending the Sedro-Woolley Municipal Code, Chapter 17.100, the accessory dwelling units. Mr. Glover.
Great, thank you. Mayor, Council, good evening. This is the third time this is coming back to you. We saw this the first time about a year ago. We had a second reading in spring. Following that reading, we had discussion about our comprehensive plan and the progress there. And we were at that time aiming for a June adoption deadline, and as you know, that got pushed out and delayed. The deadline for adopting this ordinance, which is requirement by the state, also got pushed out. But now we are ready for this to be presented here tonight to you for adoption, if you are ready. Just a little bit of background. Back, it's about almost 3 years ago now, the state legislature passed House Bill 1337, which requires that all cities planning under the Growth Management Act amend their codes to allow no more than 2 accessory dwelling units per lot in all zones where single-family homes are permitted. At present, the only residential zone that does not allow ADUs is the R15 zone. So approving the amendments as shown in this attached ordinance will bring the city into compliance with the requirements of 1337, including providing ADUs for the R15 zone. That is essentially it. In the staff report there, you got some history of when this was presented to you, but it is ready for your approval now at this time.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody who has comment? Go ahead, Mr. Lavaca.
So I don't think, obviously, there's nothing we can do with this because there's a House Bill 1337 to facilitate this and require it. But it does, I did inquire earlier about the comp plan element, HB2 or H2 dot 11, that would then allow manufactured homes and as well as ADUs in the comp plan. Now, that wouldn't be in our municipal code yet because we'd have to adopt that in, of course. But is that something, could you explain that? Like, if we do 2 ADUs and then people have the opportunity to do manufactured homes instead of ADUs?
Yeah, let me clarify. So that is 2 separate issues. This bill is concerning the number of ADUs that would be allowed in residential zones. It doesn't address manufactured homes or the types of ADUs that would be allowed. Within the comprehensive plan, we're still looking at the different kinds that could be allowed. And again, the comprehensive plan is the policy document, and where we will get, where the pedal meets the metal, whatever, is when we talk about our development regulations, the zoning code, and at that time, we'll be talking about the different types of ADUs that would be allowed, wherever ADUs are allowed. So you bring up a good point, and we did discuss it, and there's a policy that is in the comp plan that's recommending it. It's not necessarily saying we have to do it. When the have-tos are when we get to the development regs, so we're still a ways out. And we're almost ready to get our comp plan sent to the state, but once we do that, we can then turn our attention to working on the development regs, and we think it's going to be about the first half of next year. It'll take about that long for us to comb through all our regs and make sure that we're adjusting our regs according to what we need to be doing. So, point taken, good point, but we're not there yet.
So anybody else have any comments or questions regarding the accessory dwelling units, the issue that is before us right now?
It's a little tangential, but just building on what Councilman Lavaca said, I know around town there are people living in travel trailers and recreational vehicles. Is that at all dealt with in this?
No, that's also a separate thing. If they're outside of an RV park, they should not be living in an RV travel trailer. That is against building code, and we do have our code enforcement who is able to go out and address those things. So what we're talking about are not the RVs, but the actual, like a single wide, 14-foot wide trailer, or I should say manufactured home. Is what we're talking about. But the RVs, you're not supposed to be living in unless you're in an RV park. Or if you have a live permit to build a home, you can live in that while you're constructing your home.
Councilman Henderson?
Thank you, Mayor. So this was supposed to be brought back like last February, and we kind of halted it due to the comp plan and all that other stuff. I've had developers asking ever since February when we're going to be able to get this rolling. So understanding that the types of ADUs that will be permitted later on, we can hash that out within the next year, but this will allow people to start putting in permits for the ones that are allowed right now according to our building code. When will they be able to start putting their permits in? Tomorrow? Will it be like tomorrow after we pass this, or?
I believe the way the ordinances work, they've got to be codified, published first, so it's not necessarily tomorrow, but, yeah. It takes a little bit of time to do that, yeah. We've been in touch with some of the development community who is interested in doing this, so they're aware that this is happening. Some of them are aware this is happening tonight. And we've had some calls too about when we're going to get this done. So they're making plans, and our plan is to, if this gets approved tonight, to move through the next steps of getting it published and ready for them to submit their applications.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think we've sat on this for quite some time, and it'd be nice to be able to have them move forward with whatever it is that they're trying to do. Within our city code. So I'd make a motion to move forward with ordinance 2083-25, amending SWMC Chapter 17.180 ADUs.
I'd second that.
Okay. And Councilwoman Kesty, I see you have your light on. Did you?
Oh, just to make the vote.
Okay. So we have a motion by Councilman Henderson, second by Councilwoman Diamond, to approve motion ordinance 208325, amending Sedro-Woolley Municipal Code Chapter 17.100, accessory dwelling units. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to new business, and that is the funding acceptance, Department of Ecology Wastewater Treatment Plant Facility Plant. And Mr. Bullock is looking for a motion here tonight. So, Mr. Bullock, I'll turn it over to you.
Yep, thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council. So a little bit, I want to talk about the basics of the program, both for Public Works Board money, which we've also received for the treatment plant design, but also Department of Ecology money. These agencies primarily give loans to help fund these, fund utilities of all kinds. In this case, we're talking about our sewer treatment plant. Now, also with these agencies, they do give partial grants or even full grants based on whether or not you're classified as a distressed community. And what each agency classifies as distressed varies. And also it varies based on how much money you're asking for. So there are far more jurisdictions eligible for a distressed status if you're borrowing $20 million than if you're borrowing $500,000 like this loan is. They are very low interest loans. With Public Works Board, if you recall, we received $750,000 from Public Works Board last spring. And Sedro-Woolley is just kind of on that cusp of whether we meet those qualifications or not. So for DOE, we did not meet their qualifications as a distressed community just by a little bit. But Public Works Board, we did meet that qualification in that $750,000 request. We were actually granted, I think, $127,000 in grant funds or forgivable loan based on the status of our community. So there are times when they give grants or basically forgivable loans. They'll forget a portion or all of a loan based on kind of what that funding mosaic is. So with the Department of Ecology loan, which is the acceptance before you today, it's a 2% interest loan over 20 years, payable at the completion of the facility plan. We applied for these funds in October of 2024. They don't start contracts for the award of the money until after July of the following year when the legislature approves the final list. And so they've had a lot of contracts. And so they've basically offered us our contract to accept the money. Again, $500,000, 2%. And then because of the amount of time it's taken to disperse their loans, they are allowing us to be able to reimburse payments retroactively back to July 1st of 2024, which is when we hired RH2 to start this process. So to date, all of our monies we've spent on the treatment plant engineering report and design are reimbursable to Department of Ecology or eligible for this $500,000 loan amount. And then we're actually over halfway done with our facility plan right now, and we should be finalizing the facility plan to present to Department of Ecology for their approval and different things in April or May of next year. And then because of the Public Works Trust Fund or the Public Works Board funding, we'll be able to immediately begin design rather than wait another funding cycle to do so. So we won't lose any time with this and how we've set it up. And I guess that's the history of this whole funding effort to begin the design of the treatment plant. Any other questions?
Madam Mayor, if you don't mind.
Yes, go ahead.
Sweet. Thanks for pursuing this, and I know it's definitely quite the journey. So I have, for the funding sources, do we have any other loans for the waste treatment facility at this point?
Yes, a Public Works Board loan that was granted to us last spring.
But that one's a forgivable loan, depending on
Well,
that's part of it.
So that loan is, doing quick math here, about $630,000 in loan and about a little more than 120,000 in forgivable loan. So the two make up 750,000. So they forgave about 20%.
And then how much do we have in reserves for the waste treatment facility?
We have over $4.5 million in reserves right now.
All right, and it's, I would imagine.
And
it's
we're
gonna take-
continuing to contribute to those reserves every year.
But I imagine for the waste treatment facility, it's gonna take just about almost all that. You'll have your maintenance fees or maintenance, service costs that you'll try and reserve back, but it's gonna take pretty much all that and the loan. I imagine that's why you're.
Right, so as we get into the construction of the treatment plant, when we get ready to do the upgrade, we will probably draw down our reserves to about $1 million. And that's part of our match for those different loans and grants. And it will be a mosaic of funding. We will likely get a STAG grant from Rick Larson's office. We'll certainly ask for that. There's some other grant opportunities as well as additional funding from Public Works Board and Department of Ecology.
Okay. And then on that, not that the funding even matters for it, but are you guys designing in some flood prevention?
Yes.
Some flood, okay, obviously you are. Nice. Well, thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Councilman
Thank you.
Henderson?
Thank you. So is this 500, is this going to get us across the finish line for the facility plan, fund-wise?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Councilman Cook?
Just a question, as we, the wastewater treatment plant, as we became concerned during the flooding, is vitally important to our community. And in terms of funding, are we eligible for municipal bonds, maybe municipal revenue bonds, or is that not something?
Possibly.
Because, those could be very competitive interest rates, probably not 2%. 2% is below, I think inflation right now is 3% across the country, so 2% is really good. But, that's another thought to have, because I've been part of planning for those at the university, and they built us several of our buildings.
Sure. And Public Works Board loan rate is at 0.5%, so that's extremely good.
Okay. Well, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
I'll second that, Madam Mayor.
Okay. So I'm gonna give it to Councilwoman Diamond. Yep. So we have a motion by Councilman Cox, second by Councilwoman Diamond. Any more discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carries. All right. Really, last order of business tonight is the oath of office. So if I could have come down front, in front of the dais, Joellen Kesty, Joe Burns, Nick Lavaca, and Nora Pedersen.
Oh, that's information only.
So for the sake of being heard, I don't know if is the mic picking up or not, but we're going to stand in front of the mic and do it. And so first person is Joellen Kesty. Joellen, could you step up? Joellen, could you raise your right hand? I, Joellen Kesty, do solemnly swear
I, Joellen Kesty, do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the laws of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution and laws of the United States,
the Constitution and laws of the State of Washington,
the Constitution and laws of the State of Washington,
and all local ordinances,
and all local ordinances,
and that I will faithfully and impartially
and that I will faithfully and impartially
discharge the duties of office
discharge the duties of office
of council member,
of council member,
Ward 2,
Ward 2,
for the city of Sedro-Woolley,
for the city of Sedro-Woolley,
Skagit County,
Skagit County,
according to law
according to law
and the best of my ability.
and the best of my ability.
All right, thank you. Congratulations, welcome back. I'm just going to let you know that when she did it, she typed it up wrong. She put you as councilman at large, so I'm not going to have you sign it. I'll get it. Okay. All right, thank you. Okay, let's see who's next. Let's see here. Joe Burns? Oh, yes, I can. Yeah. Okay, you want to go last then? Okay. All right, Nick Lavaca? All right, raise your right hand. I, Nick Lavaca,
I, Nick Lavaca,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the
that I will support
the Constitution and laws of the United States
the Constitution and laws of the United States
and the Constitution and laws of the State of Washington
and the Constitution and state of laws of Washington
and all local ordinances,
and all local ordinances,
and I will faithfully and impartially
and I will faithfully and impartially
perform and discharge
perform and discharge
the duties of office
the duties of office
of council member at large
of council member at large
for the city of Sedro-Woolley,
for the city of Sedro-Woolley,
Skagit County, Washington,
Skagit County, Washington,
to the law
to the law
and best of my ability and understanding.
and the best of my ability and understanding.
So, Nick, I'm going to have you sign here. It actually is correct. Let me grab a pen here.
Here you go.
Thank you very much, sir.
A wooden pen.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Nora, come on in. Raise your right hand. I, Nora Pedersen,
I, Nora Peterson,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution and laws
that I will support the Constitution and laws
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution and laws
and the Constitution and laws
of the State of
of
Washington
the State of Washington
and all local ordinances,
and all local ordinances,
and I will faithfully and impartially
and I will faithfully and impartially
perform and discharge
perform and discharge
the duties in the office of council member, Ward 3,
the duties in the office of Council Member Ward 3
for the city of Sedro-Woolley,
for the City of Sedro-Woolley,
Skagit County, Washington,
Skagit County, Washington,
according to law
according to law
and the best of my ability and understanding.
and the best of my ability and understanding.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Welcome on board.
Thanks.
So, Nora, I would have you sign, but she's actually done it incorrectly.
Oh,
so
okay.
I need to check it.
Okay, great.
Okay, all right. All right. I, Joe Burns,
I, Joe Burns,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution and laws
that I will support the Constitution and laws
of the United States
of the United States
and the constitutions and laws
and the Constitution and laws
of the State of Washington
of the State of Washington
and all local ordinances,
and all local ordinances,
and that I will faithfully and impartially
and that I will faithfully and impartially
perform and discharge
perform and discharge
the duties of office
the duties of office
of Council Member Ward 6
of Council Member Ward 6
of the City of Sedro-Woolley,
of the City of Sedro-Woolley,
Skagit County,
Skagit County,
Washington,
Washington,
according to law
according to law
and to the best of my ability and understanding.
and to the best of my ability and understanding.
Okay. So, again,
All at large.
yeah.
No problem.
Yeah, so when she has those corrected, we'll have you sign. So, everybody, I'd like you to meet your new council members and returning council members for year 26 through, what would be 29, I guess, right? 26, 27, 29, through 29. Congratulations.
You've done a fine job. You've done a fine job. You've done a fine job.
Thank you. Okay. So before I adjourn, I just want to thank Councilwoman Diamond again for her service here, the 4 years that she has given. And I agree with, I can't remember which council member said it, but when one door closes, another one opens. And I know that we are going to see you do great things within this community because you already have. Thank you, Sarah, for serving. And with that, our next council meeting, believe it or not, is in 2026. I find that hard to believe. Christmas is around the corner. I wish everybody a safe and Merry Christmas and a wonderful New Year. And we'll see you back here. You'll have to come back on January 7th, 2026 at 6 p.m. And we are adjourned. Oh.